Okay, so hey guys, and welcome back to another predictions video, and in today's video I'm going to be predicting the Blanchfield versus Fiorot fight. If you are new around here though and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. Like video if you do indeed like video, and let's get straight into it. So going into this fight, Blanchfield is 12-1 with 2 KOs and 4 submissions, and Fiorot is 11-1 with 6 KOs and no submissions. This fight is a 5-round fight in the flyweight division. Blanchfield's last fight was a win via unanimous decision versus Santos, and Fiorot's last fight was a win via unanimous decision versus Namajunas. This is in Blanchfield's home country of America. Fiorot is 34 and Blanchfield is 24. And to speak as to why I'm doing a prediction of this in general, obviously, it's a fight night, it's a UFC fight night. I don't always do predictions for this, but this fight in general did actually get me really excited. Like, there's not too many huge women's fights in the UFC at the moment, and you possibly would have to argue that's with like recent fighters such as Amanda Nunes and Rose Namajunas in general, and even Shevchenko. I mean, leaving or becoming less active or losing, or there's fewer fighters, there's fewer big fights to make, but I feel like this is quite a big fight, and I believe it's going to be an entertaining one, and I believe the winner of this most definitely could go on to become a UFC champion. So I thought I might as well come on here and do the prediction. It's, I believe, 3rd versus 4th ranked in the flyweight division, and so yeah, it's perfect time to make this fight. It's a great fight to make, and to speak about their last fights, Blanchfield's was obviously a unanimous decision victory. It was starting off as quite a slower fight for Blanchfield, a fight which Santos was winning, as Blanchfield, took her time to get into the flow of things and seemed to not really be landing a lot of the best strikes in the first round. But she gained confidence, was the more comfortable one, and by the 3rd round, obviously they were both seemingly very tired and were, a little bit messier in their throws, but she was the one that was being the more active. She was really wanting to give everything and push any kind of pace which she could, and she did that, and so she did thoroughly deserve the win. And obviously other things she did well, which I'm going to mention in just a moment. Fiorot's last fight, unanimous decision versus Namajunas, that was a relatively clear victory, to be honest. For Fiorot, was a good performance. She showed her physical attributes very much so, and that was something I was impressed with against Namajunas, who has been a dominant champion and has been a very good UFC fighter in general. To do what she did to her and to really dominate a lot of the fight, most of the fight, it was impressive, and yeah, so it made for this fight to be made. Great fight. Obviously, there is a pretty big age gap. Fiorot, though, is arguably still in her prime of her career. They both are going into the prime of their careers, in my opinion. So I don't realistically think the age gap is going to play too much of a factor, in my opinion. But to speak about them both as fighters, Blanchfield, she moves well. She works off a jab relatively nicely. She's comfortable, throwing that jab out. She fights on the back foot typically, and she's comfortable to fight on the back foot. She's very calm on the ground. She's got good takedown variety. The trips that she landed on Santos were very nice to see. She's a high level grappler. She's well conditioned. Like I say, she did get tired in that fight versus Santos, but in the end, the output she was still throwing when she was tired shows that she has clearly trained, putting herself in positions which are going to be uncomfortable and positions which are going to tire you out, and being able to deal with them. And so that's, in my opinion, what well conditioned, the definition of that really is. She will let her hands go. She improves throughout fights, and like I mentioned, she really does give her all. Negatives, I mean, she has that of a lack of power compared to the two, especially Fiorot, like I'm going to mention in a minute, is a much more physical, powerful fighter, which she proved in that last fight versus Namajunas. But Blanchfield isn't necessarily that. She has to close the distance, and sometimes she can look a little bit hesitant to close the distance. She's got a good jab, and if she could use off the jab to close the distance a little bit better, then I probably would like to see that. But she does have to close the distance. She can get caught low coming in, because I don't feel like when you hesitantly close the distance, you're more fearful of what's to come back, and that means you aren't fully committing to your work, and it means you probably are more likely to be countered, because you can either wait too long or not do it as cleanly as you probably should. And there's a few factors there as to why she gets caught when she comes in. She can stand straight on. She isn't necessarily overly quick. She's got good scrambles, very good scrambles, and she can, capitalise on mistakes on the ground, but on her feet she isn't overly quick. She's got a lack of a guard to an extent, not very strong, you know, physical guard. Her kicks aren't always amazing. There's something which I would probably like to see an improvement on in the actual, or I suppose even just throwing them out in general. And the accuracy at times isn't always amazing either. Fiorot as a fighter though, she's got very good takedown defense. Another thing she showed very well against Namajunas. Namajunas wanted to take her to the ground, but Fiorot just basically shoved her off her every time and really showed, like I've been mentioning, that physical element and how much stronger she was compared to Namajunas, and being able to really impose herself was something which I was impressed in. She's got a good jab as well. She's strong. She's a front foot type fighter. She's naturally the bigger fighter out of the two. She plants her feet well. She's got good combinations. She strikes very well out of a clinch. She did that again very nicely against Namajunas. When the clinch was going to break, Namajunas knew that Fiorot was going to strike and try and land big, but she couldn't counteract the sheer combination force of that of Fiorot when she did it. She has got good side kicks. When she gets a flow going with them and gets the accuracy going with them, which can take time, she does have nice side kicks, which is a little bit of a variety in her striking. She keeps range well, and in general, like I say, she's got good attributes there. And I suppose the negative, the defensive movement, I don't think she moves quite as well as that of Blanchfield. Obviously, she plants her feet, but does to an extent sacrifice the actual movement that she offers. Her timing is good at times, but can be a little bit like she waits too long and can't predict it the best, so it's not always amazing. Against speed in general, I think she struggles. She isn't fast herself, and so like I said, I don't feel Blanchfield is overly fast, but if she gets you on the ground, she's, like I've been mentioning, she can be fast and she can be relatively explosive if she wants to be. So I feel like Fiorot is going to have to really kind of impose a powerful aspect onto Blanchfield and make Blanchfield question herself early on in the fight. Her reactions ain't amazing, Fiorot. On the ground, I mean, she hasn't got any submissions, and she is willing, if she can get her to the ground, which is difficult, like I mentioned, very good takedown defense. If you can get her to the ground though, she would definitely be the lesser on paper out of the two between Blanchfield and her. The chin can be in the air. She can become a little bit predictable at times when she throws out a jab very nicely, but if she can just sometimes, if she finds a shot that works once, and just do it over and over and over again, and it's not always something that's the best. Balance at times isn't amazing. Bit of a weak guard as well. The back foot type fighting isn't always something that's in her forte. Like I say, just kind of keeping a chin up in the air is very common type of things, but it's not necessarily the best of things. Blanchfield is the favourite for this fight, and I think that Fiorot will win via unanimous decision. Like I've been mentioning, I think she's going to be able to physically impose herself, really put on a pressure, and I believe Blanchfield won't be able to take her down, and Blanchfield possibly might outthrow Fiorot. I think that's the best way in her winning, but I think Fiorot will be able to land the cleaner shots, land the more powerful ones, and then I don't necessarily know how Blanchfield will be able to react to that. Like I've been saying, I think she might start to question herself if that is the case. Then who should go on to fight next? I mean, realistically, Grasso or Shevchenko are the two top fighters and the champion, I suppose. So she should fight one of them realistically. I mean, Barber's another option, but that's only as a must. Like if she needs to fight because the other two don't want to fight. But I believe she probably will end up fighting Grasso next because like I say, it's a natural progression and it's a great fight. But yeah, that is it for today's video. I hope you did enjoy. Like the video if you did indeed like the video, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.